Okay, so we had a question to do with fat versus carbohydrates or sugars and the role they play in energy production. But what I thought I might do first, just to get like a base, is cover off on 3 diets you might have heard of, and then we can go a little deeper into the weeds on the whole fat side of things and the new research that's coming out on that. So, first diet, paleo diet, that you would have heard of if you've been in CrossFit or on the internet ever. Basically, lean meats, fish, veggies, nuts, seeds, some fruit, little starch, no sugar. That's paleo. I like Greg Glassman's definition of it, in that when you go into the supermarket, you stick to the outside edge where all your fruit and veg and meat are, and that's where you live. If it's got a food label on it, it's not food. That's another good way to remember it. Primal is just a little bit more freedom than the paleo diet. So if you couldn't imagine giving up dairy, then the primal diet is for you. So they allow things like milk and cheese, Greek yogurt, and Mark Sisson, who was the creator of the Primal Blueprint, drinks coffee. So I feel like he's a trustworthy dude. Zone is the most rigid of the 3. They have it set out, everything's weighed and measured. So you enter your body weight, height, activity level, a few other metrics into this thing. It'll spit out what they call blocks, and they come in protein, fat, and carbohydrates. So the idea is you weigh and measure everything so that you have even portions of protein, fat, carbohydrate at every meal. And I think there's a little bit of leeway with snacks and stuff, but very, very rigid. Yeah, so that's just broad. I know if you want to know more about them, there's plenty of information out there anyway. But what I would recommend that you do is look at it in a way that it's not, and even if you're looking outside of these diets, people like, I know that it seems like there's a lot of misinformation out there, but that's not necessarily true. Look at it as in my glasses, right? If I gave you my glasses because you needed glasses and said, these are the best glasses ever. I've had these for years, they've been fantastic, try them on. You try them on, you're like, these are terrible. These are making things like 10 times worse. I'll be like, what are you talking about? These are great, they're like the best. I couldn't imagine using any other glasses. It's a similar thing. If I try and force what works for me onto you, that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work. So yeah, there's obviously a few basic rules out there that we can all follow, but don't get caught up in what you might think is misinformation. It's just going to be what works for somebody isn't necessarily going to work for you. So I would just recommend do your research. Have a look into the paleo diet and try it. Look into the primal diet, give it a try. Look into the zone, prep your ass off and give it a try. Yeah, outside of that, I thought we'd cover off real quick on just like beyond paleo for the CrossFitter's sake, or for people trying to gain lean muscle mass. Hit this a little bit in the last video on carbohydrate, in that you need muscle mass. Even if you're a girl trying to lose weight, I don't mean to just attack the girls, it just seems to be, girls are just so afraid to sort of put on muscle mass, where guys seem to be all about the gains. So you need to understand that the signal going out from your body into your bloodstream telling you whether to store fat, not store fat, is coming directly from your muscles. So having said that, it's probably within your best interests to obviously up your protein intake and look at gaining lean muscle mass if fat loss is a goal. So paleo nutrition for basically gaining muscle is going to vary, because it's all about volume really. But the best way you need to think about it is you can have a paleo diet and still balance your protein, fat, and carbohydrate, but not get as carried away in the zone. So that is the first step that you want to do. And then the easiest gauge is if you have 3 meals a day and they are so big and you're not gaining muscle, then that's a good indication you need to increase your meals. The other thing you can do too is every meal is, like we said, protein, fat, carbohydrate, except your post-workout meal. So your post-workout meal is purely just protein, carbohydrate. There's a few ways you can get around that with like workout drinks and stuff like that, but ideally, protein, carbohydrate, straight after your workout. And if you want to know more about that, you can look at the carbohydrate video. Yeah, so say you've got 4 to 5 large meals a day, and you've got your protein and your carbohydrate meal post-workout, but you're still not gaining lean muscle mass, then like I said, you just need to eat more, really. Obviously, there are a lot of contributing factors like, are you getting enough sleep? Is the program really nailed down? And, you know, a whole lot of factors. But if you feel like that it's definitely in your food, then, you know, it's kind of easy for you to adjust, just on feel. So there we go. Broad overview of nutrition plus a few other bits and pieces. Next video, we'll try and cover off on fat in a little bit more detail.